And welcome to Inside the Locker Room. I'm Gabe Farias.
And I'm Johnny Walker.
This edition, we are going to be talking about Johnny Manziel. Johnny football is on the brain. Also, the age-old question, should all kids get a trophy?
And finally, we'll be talking about the new Spring Football League. All that and more on Inside the Locker Room.
And welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Gabe Farias and Johnny Walker.
Yes,
Johnny,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about my second favorite Johnny to ever play college football. You're my first.
Start. Okay, that's a good
Johnny
start.
Walker
Good
is
start.
my first.
Good start.
Johnny football, Johnny Manziel. I was such a big Johnny Manziel fan that I went out and I purchased a Cleveland Browns number 2 jersey.
Wow.
That's how big of a fan I was of Senior Manziel. You had a chance to play at the highest level, University of Texas. You had a chance to watch Johnny Manziel play. How good was he? Because for me, that was, although he wasn't but about 6 foot, 6'1", he was a man playing with a bunch of boys in the SEC, mind you. How good was Johnny Manziel?
Johnny Manziel was an incredible quarterback. I mean, I have to give credit where credit is due, and I'm not one to root for Aggies.
Wow, I was just going to say.
So I'm just going to say that I think he just did a great job. Man.
Yeah.
He was an incredible football player, great athlete, loved the game of football, played with a reckless abandon, and was able to parlay that into winning a Heisman Trophy his freshman year. So I don't think there's ever been a player to ever win the Heisman Trophy the freshman year. So that just goes to show you the type of talent that he had and the success that he was able to have at Texas A&M.
Was it a combination? Because to me, it was a combination of two things. It was his incredible athleticism, along with, I know some people said he was fearless, and he had a sense of fearlessness to him, but it was the athleticism combined with a creativity that we maybe haven't seen since a guy like Roger Staubach, back when he played at Navy. Was it that combination of athleticism and creativity that made him so special?
Well, you know what? He loved the game of football. And he kind of reminded me, the person that I compared him to was like a Doug Flutie. I mean, he just was a little old bitty guy running all over the field, making big plays, throwing the football. But I just loved the way that he played. I really do. He played with that reckless abandon. Unfortunately, that same reckless abandon kind of got him in trouble off the field.
Absolutely.
But on the field, it was magic. And it was great to see the things that he was able to accomplish.
I'm going to transition this into a topic. I didn't talk to you about it off camera because I knew you wouldn't want to talk about it. But since we're on camera, you have to. We're going to talk about A&M football and the Aggies.
Okay.
This is a somber
segment. It really is.
Turned into Mr. Proud Locker over here. Johnny Manziel in his Heisman year, I believe they were 9-2, 10-2 eventually, or maybe 11-2 eventually, winning the Cotton Bowl, beating Oklahoma. I've always thought that's A&M's ceiling. I'm going to make a whole lot of Aggie fans mad. I don't think that program can get any better than that. Obviously, they brought in Jimbo Fisher. I've said, if you want to try and break that ceiling, you need a big name. They brought in a big name coach.
They did.
Was that their ceiling? When Johnny Manziel led them to that Cotton Bowl team, was that as good as A&M could possibly get?
That's a tough question.
Sure.
That's a very tough question. I will say that A&M does have the ability, just like any other team in the SEC, to play better and to win an SEC championship. Will they do it? You know, that's the tough part. Trying to be able to put a team together that's going to be able to be successful in the SEC, that's going to be tough. I think that their best bet, you know, as much as I hate to say this, is they should have stayed in the Big 12, and I think they would have had a better opportunity of having the chance to be more successful and have a chance to play in the national championship. I just think that SEC schedule is tough. It's a tough schedule. It's real tough.
And of course, hindsight's always 20/20 when it comes to that stuff. And there were a whole lot of factors and extenuating circumstances and nuances that went in to the reason they left the conference that they were in, which was the Big 12.
They want to be second nature.
Sure.
You know, Texas was the big dog, and they didn't like Texas being the big dog. So I hate the reason why they left, because that's ultimately the reason why they left.
Do you think it was because of the contract with ESPN and the Longhorn Network and them saying we're not going to play second fiddle to anybody?
Right.
we're going to go to the SEC.
Well, what people don't know, and this is inside information.
Wow.
I'm gonna give it to you,
Inside the
is
locker room.
originally the contract was supposed to be Texas A&M and Texas.
Really?
It was originally in the beginning. But what happened, Texas A&M didn't like the fact that it was going to feature more the Longhorns. They said, wait. This is a contract between the both of us because in essence, they basically made up the Big 12, as far as anybody else was concerned. And when that happened, they just said, no, that's it. We're not going to have any part of that. So they actually left. Not only did they not accept the contract, but they actually left and went to the SEC. And that's how that story went. I mean, they were very disappointed with how that contract ended up.
And again, I'm going to make a whole lot of my Texas A&M fans. And I love you guys. You're some great folks.
I don't. But that's fine.
But the phrase I like to use is that year with Johnny Manziel, the Heisman Trophy winning year. It was really a fool's gold kind of year for the Aggies. It gave a whole lot of Aggie Nation the hope that someday we are going to be an Alabama or a USC type team. Again, even though they have unlimited resources, and they showed that when they went out and hired Jimbo Fisher, I think that they've hit a ceiling, and I think that ceiling was that year with arguably one of the greatest college quarterbacks to ever play the game. I'm going to ask you again. They brought in Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah.
Do you think, is it because of the SEC that they play in that ceiling can't be broken, or do you see them someday? I may be asking the wrong person. You being the problem with your. Do you think that someday that ceiling can be broken?
I'll be honest with you. I do believe that ceiling can be broken.
Really?
I do. I really do. I think that Jimbo Fisher, we know without question, is one of the greatest college football coaches. I mean, the success he's had, quite frankly, he's been one of the most successful college coaches. I think that this is their last hurrah. If they're going to be able to do it, they're going to have to be able to do it under Jimbo Fisher. And I think that he has what it takes to get them over the edge. I think that Kevin Sumlin had him knocking on that SEC door, but I think Jimbo Fisher can make him knock that door in. So I'm gonna give him a little Aggie push. I don't do that very often.
Quite frankly, I'm shocked.
I believe that I do believe that they'll be able to put a team together that will be able to be competitive in the SEC. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be hard, but I do believe that they will be able to be successful and be able to compete on a more regular basis in the SEC than what they have done.
Got a question for you. Should everybody get a trophy?
Absolutely.
If A&M finished in ninth place in the SEC, should they get participation trophies?
No, they really should.
They should.
No.
That's a segue, my friend. We're going to talk about that social issue. Should everybody on a Little League team get a trophy, get a ribbon, or should it just be the winners? Hang tight. We're going to talk about that coming up next. Right here on Inside the Locker Room.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Now, welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Gabe Farias, my friend Johnny Walker. Johnny.
Yes.
Should all kids get a trophy? If you play in Little League, if you play in CYO and Pop Warner, did you play in Pop Warner?
No, I didn't do Pop Warner.
Really? You know why I didn't play in Pop Warner?
Why didn't you play?
Because I was too big.
You're too big?
It was the weight limit thing, man. They didn't let husky-sized kids in.
Well, my mom said I could play anything but football.
Really?
No, she wouldn't let me play football.
Another topic for another time.
Yes,
but we'll continue that another time. In every league that I played in, you either finished in first place or in second place, and that's when and only when you got a trophy.
Right.
Now you're seeing these little leagues, giving participation trophies to everybody who plays in the game. For me, I don't like it. It takes away from the competitiveness of why these kids, yes, you're trying to teach them character, but you're also trying to teach them a competitive spirit that could potentially lead them to great things in life. Should all kids get a trophy?
Absolutely not. And I'm a firm believer in that. I believe that when you give everyone a trophy, first of all, you've taken away some of the competition, you've watered it down, and you've allowed them to accept mediocrity. And I don't accept mediocrity. And as a matter of fact, I have a daughter that's played, and we've actually given trophies back, we've given medals back. If we didn't finish in the first or second in the league, and everybody just got a participation, no, you can have that. We don't need that.
So the premise for an all-inclusive trophy distribution is motivation. You say, though, it leads to complacency.
Yes, it does.
Explain that.
I just believe that what is there to work for? If you know that regardless of where you place or whether you win or whether you lose, you're going to get rewarded for it. And that's not, I don't believe in rewarding last place. I just don't. I mean, it's first place, second place, third place. I said, but I just don't believe in rewarding complacency. I don't believe it. I think it sets the tone for kids to accept not trying to work as hard to be the best, because whether they are the best or not, they're still going to get something for it. And I just think that's the wrong mindset to lead to them to be more competitive.
What do you tell league sponsors and representatives and board members of leagues that have that mindset? What do you tell them to change their mindset from but this leads kids to be more motivated to, this really is hurting these kids in what they're trying to do in their future success? What do you tell those types of board members?
I've told them that obviously you probably weren't a high level athlete. And the reason why,
ouch.
Oh no, I'm very frank. The reason why you're allowing this to happen is because you're kind of living your life through this. Well, no. To be a high elite style athlete or to be successful, you have to work hard to do that. Nobody's going to give you anything. So if you want to continue to rise and be the best that you can be, I said you're going to have to work to do that. Period. So you got to get that out of your mindset. We're not going to just give everybody a trophy or give everybody a certificate. No, that's not going to work.
I agree with you. I was growing up. I'm not anymore. I'm like the worst athlete I don't know in San Antonio. But growing up, I was a fairly good athlete.
Yeah.
Great little league baseball player, CYO baseball player,
right.
Pretty good football player. We won the city championship, so we got trophies. And I was a college and high school athlete. You, on the other hand, were at elite status in two sports here locally, baseball and football. What's the counter to, of course Johnny Walker's going to say that because he was the very best at what he did. What do you say when people say, my kids will never be as good as you were? Of course you'll say, man, if you win, that's when you should get a trophy. What do you tell those kids? What do you tell those parents?
I would tell them that they definitely will never be as good if you allow them to be complacent, if you allow them to accept just being one of everybody else. I always tell my kids and the kids that I coach, you want to strive to be the best that you can be, whatever, and that's the best that you can be. And wherever it takes you, then that's where it takes you. I said, but we're not going to settle just being as good as everybody else. And that's the message that I always preach. We're going to work to be the best that we can be, and that's what I had to do to be successful. I accept if I didn't come in first place or last place, I was upset, and that was my motivation to make sure that the next time I had a chance, I was going to do everything I can so that I could come in first place. And that's the mindset that you want to have. You want that drive. You want them to continue to drive to be the best that they can be.
That's a great answer. How does your mindset, though? How does your mindset translate? Because again, not everyone is going to play for the Packers or play for the Steelers someday or play for the Braves organization.
Right.
How does your mindset help kids or help parents to help their kids say, look, we're not talking about right now. What we're talking about is motivating your kids so that when they're bankers and when they're lawyers and when they're doctors, they're going to want to be the very best
that they can be.
They possibly can be. How is that message delivered?
Well, I can tell them that when I played football, when I was in high school, when I had the opportunity to go play college, they laughed at me and said I was too small. I said, you're too small. You're not big enough to play. When I had the opportunity to go play baseball in college as well, they were like, yeah, right, you're not good enough. You're not good enough to play them both. Well, I showed them all. Not only did I play them both, but I also had the opportunity to play them both professionally. And that's the message that I have. Nobody knows what you can really do. But if you don't put forth the effort and work hard to be the best that you can be, then you'll never be able to accomplish those things. If I grew up accepting just being just one of the guys or just being on the team, then I never would have been able to have the opportunity to play at a high level collegiately, and I definitely wouldn't have the opportunity to play them both professionally. So I don't say nobody gave me anything. I had to work for everything that I got.
We rarely agree on stuff, and this is one of those things where
Yeah.
everyone should not get a trophy.
No, they should not. No.
Absolutely not. All right, buddy. We talked about Johnny Manziel
Yes.
earlier in the program. He participated in a spring football league that was in the Austin area. We're going to talk about that coming up. We've been talking about XFL, so spring football is on the mind. All coming up next on Inside the Locker Room.
Nothing to do this week? Don't miss another event. Go to blacksinsanantonio.com for our event calendar. The home of the largest business directory in San Antonio with an African American focus. Sign up today for our weekly e-blast and text message alerts. Help us make this a better community. Connect, empower, grow.
Planning the right amount of food is hard. The Guestimator makes it easy. Just tell it who's coming and what's for dinner. Then it tells you how much to make. And yes, it even plans for leftovers. Try it at savethefood.com.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Gabe Farias, Johnny Walker. We were talking about the other Johnny Manziel, earlier in the program.
Yeah.
He participated in a spring league. Talk about that spring league.
Well, it's a formation of a spring football league, and the CEO, Brian Wood, he brought the league to Austin, Texas. And basically what it is 150 players that they've invited. They're going to play, it's a 3-week season. They're going to play 4 games. It's from March the 28th through April the 12th. And they're just getting another chance to try to make their presence known to NFL or a CFL team, and that's basically what they do. Johnny Manziel did a pretty good job. He played for 2 quarters. He was 9 for 15. He had 82 yards and a touchdown. So it was great. I thought it was a great debut for him. Good opportunity for him to get back on the football field, along with some of these other players who hadn't had an opportunity to play competitively for a couple of years.
So you got guys like Manziel from A&M. You got, I understand, some former Longhorn standouts like Dylan Haynes, Miller Davis, and Lourdes Quincy Vassar all participated in this, amongst some other guys from other schools like this. It seems like a really good opportunity for these guys to kind of showcase what they're wanting to showcase to the NFL, possibly the XFL, maybe Canada, the Canadian Football League. This is a pretty good opportunity for a lot of guys.
I think it is a good opportunity. It's an opportunity for them to get out on the football field. There's not much that you can really do in a 3-week time span, but at least it gives them a chance to get out there, throw some pads around, is what I say, and let them see that they still can play the game of football. Of course, you can't. It's going to be hard to make a determination of whether they'll be able to play in the NFL or CFL, but we know that the guys still can play. They do understand the game, and it gives them an opportunity to go out there and compete. And I think that's what it does more than anything.
You talked about CEO Brian Wood. Is this league, is Wood partnering with anybody, or is this an autonomous spring football league that's funded through just a private entity?
It's an autonomous league. I mean, as a matter of fact, the guys are not even getting played. They have to pay $350 application fee. And so they're not getting paid for any games or anything that they're doing. So these guys truly love football, and they want to get the opportunity to get back to play.
So I can pay $350 to go play this thing?
You got to pay to go play here. So these guys, hey, this is our last chance.
Wow.
It's an opportunity for us to get out on the football field and hopefully somebody sees us, and we get an opportunity to go out and play at another level. So hats off to them. I don't think I could do that, but there is no allegiance to the NFL. I would like to see that the NFL, they keep dragging their feet on this. They need to have a developmental league. I know that they had NFL Europe, which, I don't think was the grandest of ideas, but we could definitely do that, something like that here in the United States. And it's time for that to happen. They need to have that so that these guys get an opportunity to get back out on and play.
You just made the comment right now that you wouldn't do this now.
No, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't pay for free.
You're a 64-year-old man.
How old are you? There you go.
Okay, you're
I'm 40-ish.
You're in your 40s.
Yeah,
of course you wouldn't do it now.
No.
Would you have done this when you were a 24-year-old guy in between the Packers or in between the Steelers and your stint in Canada? Would you have taken that out? Because it seems like a guy like you would have taken that opportunity.
I still wouldn't have done it, not for free. No. One thing,
first of all,
when
I'm
you
free,
start,
you got to pay us,
oh, no,
so-
you got to pay me, yeah. Once, like I said, once you start getting paid, it was hard for me to go back and play college for free. So, let alone try to play for some other league for free. So once you start getting paid, you know, I would have looked for some other avenue to where I could participate and get paid to do it. You know, at that time, the Arena Football League was doing very well. So I would not have gone and tried to play, because if you get hurt, you know, what's going to happen then if you get hurt? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you pretty much shut the door on any opportunity that you may have after that. So I would always look at it from my financial standpoint.
So what's the difference between the Brian Wood-led league and the spring football leagues that you see in and around San Antonio and Dallas and Houston? You see full-blown leagues with teams that are pretty decent. What's the difference between that? Is that more developmental versus an actual, I don't know, a Pop Warner type league for old men?
I think it's more of a league. The main thing is that they're getting an opportunity to get paid. I think that the timing is probably great for this league, and the fact that it's in Austin, Texas, which is more of a neutral area. So I think that was a great idea, them bringing it here to Austin, Texas. I think that's what it is more than anything. I think everything's timing. But the other leagues, they do have a little bit more credibility. Guys are going to get paid. And I think that that's more along the lines that I'd be looking for than just going out there with my fingers crossed. Because I think these guys are really, they're really reaching.
But obviously, when I agree with you. But when you have a guy like Johnny Manziel,
Yes.
and if you were playing, you had a guy like Johnny Walker participated, and obviously the fellas Miller and the fellows from Texas. It lends a tremendous amount of credibility to what they're trying to do.
Yes,
If you
it
have
does.
Johnny Manziel there alone, scouts are going to come. There's going to be a
that's
tremendous
right.
amount
You're right.
of attention paid. I think that adds to the legitimacy of what they're trying to do.
To a certain degree. I guarantee you, if they were paying money, you definitely would have had even more big names there than what you had in regards to just how, you know, Johnny Manziel being the main big name that was there. That trust me, that has a lot to do with it. You know, getting paid or not getting paid. But it's a great league. It's a great opportunity. I hats off to Brian Wood for giving these young men an opportunity to pursue their dream. And that's ultimately what it boils down to. I mean, they're pursuing their dream. So,
But what you're saying is that there'd be no Johnny Walker.
No, that dream would come to an end if they told me I wouldn't get paid. No, we're not doing that. That's not gonna happen. But no, hats off to him though. I think that's great. I was happy to see Johnny Manziel get out there and play. There were a lot of scouts there to see him play, and I also there's some scouts who were very excited about what they saw.
Sure.
So there may be some things rumbling in the NFL in regards to Johnny Manziel pretty soon. Now,
And if he gets a contract, that's pretty good $350 that he spent.
that was a real good investment.
There you go. All right.
Yes.
Good show, my man.
Yes.
All
good
right.
deal.
That's going to wrap up this edition of Inside the Locker Room for Johnny Walker.
Yes.
I'm Gabe Farias saying we'll see you on the field.
All right.